You're listening to the Voice for Business podcast, episode 69. In today's episode, I'm revealing how high-quality production value can really get you to stand out online. That's coming up next. Ready to learn what it means to have a voice for business? To utilize your voice to create the influence, impact, and income you desire. Join me, Katherine Beck, voice actor and voice coach, as I show you how to show up and stand out as the voice of your business. Learn my best tips on how to uncover your true voice, to speak with authority, and establish a personal connection to your audience that will leave them wanting to hear more. This is the Voice for Business podcast. We will get started with today's episode in just a moment, but first I want to give a big shout out to Felicity Smith, who says, best thing that has happened this year was coming across Katherine Beck's coaching and her podcast. Katherine is so motivating and inspiring to work with and listen to. Katherine really cares and believes in every individual and their dreams. Thank you, Felicity. Woo, that really warms my heart and gives me the motivation to keep on recording more podcast episodes, because I know that when I'm motivating and inspiring others to take action, that is like the fuel that drives me to keep on going, because we all need that motivation. So thank you so much. That really, really makes me feel good and excites me to record this episode. So if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, you know what, I love this podcast too, do me a favor, click the 5 stars, leave a review, and let me know what you think of this podcast. And you'll get featured on this show as well. So if you're loving this episode, go ahead and leave us a review. Okay, we're going to talk about production value and how that can really make you stand out online. But first, I want to let you know what's going on here in the Beckinator headquarters. For those of you who don't know, my nickname is the Beckinator. That was given to me last year by my coach, who goes by the name of James Wedmore. And if you don't know who he is and you are in business, do yourself a favor, go search him up on Instagram. Well, not right now, but after you listen to this podcast. But anyway, I digress. So here in the Beckinator headquarters, I have some exciting news to share with you. And that is this. You know that I am all about voice. I love being in front of a microphone. I love doing voiceovers. And I love podcasting. So I thought, why have one podcast when I can have 2? So I am bringing back the old podcast, the All American Actors podcast, because I realized when I revamped this show that it proved to be a little bit complicated to speak to 2 different audiences. You see, in my business, I work with a lot of international actors on how to master the American accent so they can book roles. And I also work with a lot of people in business, entrepreneurs, business owners, on how to really discover their true voice to create influence and impact in their business. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to have 2 podcasts. I am going to have my All American Actors podcast, and I'm going to have my Voice for Business podcast. So the All American Actors podcast is returning next week on 2/22/22. I am bringing it back, and if you are listening to this podcast right now and you want to join in on all the fun on the 22nd when we launch, I'm inviting you to join my Pod Squad. I'm going to share with you in our show notes the link to join the Pod Squad. And then all you got to do on the day when we launch is subscribe to that podcast. So it's a totally different podcast to this one. You're going to write a 5-star review and you're going to download the episodes. And when you do that, you are going to be in the running for some really great prizes with me. So join me in all of the Pod Squad fun. We got 2 podcasts coming your way. I am so excited. It's going to be so great. All right, so now let's jump into today's podcast and talk production value. And I bet this is something that you don't often think about. But guess what? You should, because it's a great way to stand out online. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go on Instagram and I want you to click on one of the people you like to follow. who is a big influencer or a thought leader or expert in your niche. Hey, it could be James Wedmore, for example. And I want you to have a look and tell me, what do you see? Look on their Instagram profile and everything that they've got there. Click on one of their videos, and I want you to notice, what do you see about their lighting? What can you hear in their sound quality? What do you notice in the editing? And I bet you wouldn't have even noticed any of these, the lighting, the sound quality, the editing, if I didn't ask you to have a look and a listen right now. And that, my friends, is a good thing. That's what we want, folks. We want the lighting, we want the sound, we want the editing to complement the message and not distract away from you and your content and your messaging. But here's the biggest mistake I see from so many entrepreneurs is that you pay no attention to the framing of your video. You pay no attention to the sound quality. You pay no attention to the lighting, no attention to any sort of graphics or editing. You're just throwing content out there and you are hoping for the best. You're hoping for those likes, follows, and shares, and the clicks on the links, right? So next, I want you to have a look at your Instagram account. I want you to go on there and have a look and tell me what you see. Click on one of your videos. And if you don't have any videos, don't get me started because you need to be using your voice, right? So you better start making some videos or using your voice somehow. But if you got a video, click on it and tell me what you see, all right? What do you notice about your lighting, your sound, and your editing? Is your video pleasing to the ear and pleasing to the eye? Does it make your audience want to stick around and listen? Does it keep our attention so that we listen and watch for more than just a few seconds? Now, these are the things you really should be considering, folks. And if you are not, maybe you need to start thinking about that. Maybe that's why you're not getting any traction. Think of it like this. It's like watching a low-budget movie or like a student film, when somebody's just learning how to film. Or it's like watching a big blockbuster movie with a tremendous budget, of course, but there's a different level of production value there from a student film, somebody who's starting out and learning how to film and put it all together, to somebody who's been in the business for a while and they really know good production quality, good value. And so it's all there and it's all put together seamlessly. The student film is where most of us are at, right? We're just putting it out there. We either don't have a clue or we have a little bit of a clue, but we don't really know how to put it all together. And so our quality out to our audience is not that great. Whereas when you look at those top influencers, you can see a bit of a difference, right? Because they can appreciate the production value and what that does for their audience. So that's what I'm talking about here, folks. And if that is something that you struggle with, because I know a lot of people do, I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this, listen, you did not go to school for this. People who are in film school, like I went to film school, people who work in those big blockbuster movies, most of them went to film school. We know what we're doing. We've had a lot of on-the-job training. We've had a lot of time to practice our skill set. So for us, it's easy. It's second nature. For you, the online entrepreneur, it's all new, So if you struggle, it's okay. I hear you. A lot of us do. And that's why I had this calling recently, a couple weeks ago, that I wanted to help support you. And I have started a new monthly group. It's called the Standout on Social Club, and that's exactly what it's all about, supporting you with direct feedback and coaching, as well as the tools to help you stand out online with your production value, with your presentation skills, and with the way to repurpose and send it out on all the channels. So if you would like more information, I am here for you to help you up-level your production value and your presentation skills. All you need to do is head over to katherinebeck.com/club to grab all the details. All right, that is it for me this week on the podcast. And remember, if you love this episode, go ahead, let me know. Take a screenshot of the show and share it with me on your Instagram story. Tag me in it at Katherine_Beck You can find me there. If you've got any questions or topics you'd like to hear on the show, go ahead, send me a DM and let me know. And coming up next week on the show, I will be speaking with Chris Beltran, who is a brand architect, and he is sharing with you how to visually stand out as a personal brand. Now, make sure to share the show with all of your friends. Let them know what's coming up next week and invite them to tune in with you and learn how to show up, speak up, and stand out as the voice of your business. Until then, go on, get out there and use that powerful voice of yours. And I will see you back here next time.